Okay, time to talk a little bit about the Marley Warriors. Obviously, I'm not going to go over every single specific one in this video. I will mention all the ones, of course, that we know about. But I'm not going to be like specifically breaking down every single one of them and their motivations and their ideas and their powers and everything. No, this is just kind of more the general idea about how the Marley Warrior Project seems to work, or the Marleian Warriors, or soldiers, depending on certain instances when it comes to translation, how that worked. So, we learn about this project a little bit when we hear Reiner and Bertolt talking about it a bit in the woods, when they have Aaron and Emir hostage. They're talking a little bit about, Armin or Reiner's like, well, do you think that we'll get like a promotion or like whatever else? And Bertolt's just like, what are you talking about? And such. And we learn later on that with Aaron's father, we learn from Aaron's father's books that he wrote, and then from the flashbacks that Aaron has from Grisha, we learn that Aaron, or not Aaron, but we learn that Grisha was from outside of the walls, of course, from way outside of the walls. But what ends up happening is they learn that there's a country called Marley, who has a large population of Eldian civilians that they keep in what are referred to as internment zones. Other countries around the world have internment zones as well for their Eldian population. The Eldians are treated as even less than second-class citizens, even though, like Grisha's father was a doctor as well, and Grisha studied to become a doctor. They still didn't necessarily have a large amount of money or anything like that. Yeah, they were able to probably be a tad bit better off than some of the other Eldian families, or most of the other Eldian families, in all honesty. But from we learn from what the other, from when we get some of the flashbacks for some of the other Marleian warriors, like with Peak, we learn that Peak became a warrior because her father was sick and he needed medical care, and that her becoming a warrior would give him the ability to get the medical care. And of course, Reiner's case, we know that he became a Marleian warrior because he wanted to make his mother proud and make it that they could be with his father, who is a jerk and is not a valid reason. But Reiner eventually figures this out, and his mother eventually apologizes for the fact of, I'm sorry, I should have just been happy with having you. And, and we see this in the final chapter when they're talking. Or I don't remember if, it's in the final chapter, because Reiner mentions that the Titan power is gone. But we also see it, we don't exactly know why Bertolt joined, and we don't specifically know why, no, I think that's it. I think most everybody else, we kind of have a basic idea of as to why they joined, because we know that when it came to, with Zeke, of course, we know that Grisha and Dina, his parents, of course, I will do a video on, like, the Eldian restorationists as well, or I already have one of the two. I don't know, depends on what order I post these in, but they, Grisha and Dina, of course, enroll Zeke in the Marleian Warrior Project when he is, 5 to 7 or so is the age range that they want for the boys or girls that are going into the project. And they put him there, and they push him and push him and push him, so much, trying to, you have to learn this, you have to learn this, and you have to pretend that you're listening to the Marleians, you have to pretend that you believe them, but you have to understand that what they're telling you is lies. All the stuff that the Eldians supposedly did, we didn't actually do. And of course, we see this twist in Zeke's head, of course. But, Zeke became a warrior because his parents forced him into that. And then later on, we see that he became a warrior, that he ended up, of course, becoming a warrior. He ended up, of course, getting the Beast Titan power because of his bond that he had with Tom Kazaver. I'm just going to refer to him as Tom because I can't pronounce his last name. But, like, he, of course, became friends with him, and, of course, Tom became much more of his father figure than Grisha ever was. We do see, of course, in the in the last couple of chapters of the story, we do see that, when Grisha is able to, when Zeke and Grisha, when their spirits or their souls in the land of the past are able to finally confront each other, Grisha does apologize to Zeke for the way that he was, for the fact that he was a horrible father to him, for the fact that he did all this stuff, that he forced him into this and forced him into that, and made him think that he didn't love him and everything. Again, I'll probably mention that a bit in the restorationist video. But we have that, so that's why Zeke joined. We have Reiner Braun, of course. He joined because, as I mentioned, to make it that his, because make his mother proud, and make it that because of the fact that when they become Marleian warriors, when they are given that full title, they have different armbands that are, I think they're red, that represent that they're have that status, and it raises their family status to where they are treated much better than regular Eldians, and where they are treated, they're honorary Marleian citizens, and it applies to them and their family. So for Reiner, it applied to his mother. I don't think we ever get a full explanation as to whether or not that spreads to also including like his aunt and uncle and Gabby, because Gabby's band is still yellow when we see her, but I don't remember if her parents have a yellow band or not. We of course know that for Zeke, it applied to his grandparents because his grandfather has one that is red. We see with Annie's father that his is red. We see with Peake's father. I think we see Peake's father at some point in the that's not in the flashback, that's but more concurrent and such. I think we see that with Bertold's father or Bertold's family. We don't really get too much with him. We don't specifically know why he joined us. Probably a similar reason. He wants a better life for his family. With Porco and with Marcel, we of course they joined. Probably again just to get better lives for their families. Tom, we know that Tom joined because he wanted to. He was a scientist, and he didn't have a whole lot of like physical ability, but he was extremely smart, and he had hid his Eldian status, his Eldian blood, from his wife. He didn't wear his armband, and he fell in love, and he married a Marleian woman, and they had a child. And of course, what ended up happening was when he became the status of a warrior, he went home and he told her that, I'm sorry, I lied to you. I am an Eldian and everything, but now I'm a Marleian warrior, so it's fine. So I have Eldian status, so I have Marleian status and everything. And then, of course, we know the horrible thing of, she slit their son's throat and his throat right in front of him. And, because she couldn't live with the fact of she had been married to and living with and had a child with a Eldian, even though he, technically has the Marleian status. It's still the whole thing of, that whole horrible thing that happened there with it. And and then of course he develops the bond with Zeke, and they develop their bond there, which is good for them. When it comes to Falco and Colt, their last names are Grice. We learn about them that their uncle seems to have been one of the Eldian restorationists. And it took me a little bit to catch this, but we see in Grisha's flashback at the end of season 3, when all of the Eldians get, when all of the Eldians that were the Eldian restorationists, when they all get turned into Titans, first they let one of them go, one of the Eldians go, and it's a man called Grice, and he runs off, and of course the Eldians chase after him and everything. And then, of course, we get to Falco and Colt, and their last name is Grice. And when we have it that Aaron talks to his grandfather, he doesn't know. Well, Aaron probably can guess that it's his grandfather because he introduces himself as Mr. Jaeger. Aaron is currently under the identity of Mr. Kruger. And they talk at the hospital, and Mr. Kruger, or Mr. Jaeger, says that because he sees him talking with Falco a lot, and he's like, you really shouldn't be, you shouldn't involve that boy and stuff because his family already went through enough. His uncle did, something horrible and everything, and the boy and his brother are on the cusp of being able to make up for that because Colt is, of course, the one that's the next in line to get the Beast Titan from Zeke. And Falco is, of course, one of the ones that's in the running between Gabby and Udo and Zofia to get the Armor Titan. And we see with Gabby that she is very much under the brainwashing of the Marleians. And I am going to do a separate video about like how the subjects of Ymir are viewed by the world, in regards to how that they're seen as demons, they're seen as horrible monsters and everything that have done nothing but horrible things in the past. I will do a separate video about that, but that does kind of go into what's going on here because all of the Marleian or all of the Eldians that are in the internment zones, not just in Liberio but in other places around the world, because Udo mentioned that he came from a different place in the world, and that at least here in Liberio, they're treated better than him and his family were treated there. So they probably came from like another Marleian settlement somewhere else, or something along those lines. I don't think we ever learned specifically where Zofia is from, but I could be wrong on that, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But we see a lot of that when it comes to Gabby's her adamant that we're good Eldians. My armband means that that I'm a good Eldian as opposed to the island devils and stuff, and that'll also go over in the when I talk about the subjects of Ymir. And we have Gabby doing so much to try to prove that she is the one that should be getting that she should be the one to get the Armor Titan. She straps all the grenades together, and then she limps across the battlefield and everything, without her, or without any protection. She limps across the battlefield, and then she uses that to destroy the the anti-Titan armor stuff that they have. That the Mideast war that they have. And she uses that to destroy that and everything. And she doesn't seem to care about her own life. She's just trying to prove that she should be the one to get the Armor Titan. And then, of course, we have Falco, who is, of course, the other side of that. In Gabby's mind, it's an honor to become the Armor Titan. It would be an honor to take over that right, that privilege from her cousin, because she looks up to Reiner so much. And after she had done the whole the grenade thing, she's proclaimed by the other Eldians on the train and everything, proclaimed to be like their Eldian goddess on their way back from the fighting, after they end that war, the Marley Mideast war. Gabby is up on their shoulders and they're all singing her praises and everything, and Falco's watching off to the side, and him and Reiner talk, and Reiner basically does the whole kind of reverse psychology thing on him of you don't think it's a good idea to want to become a Titan, to become one of the shifters. You don't think it's an honor. And Falco's like, no, it is an honor, but it's just Falco, like Peak, can kind of see a little bit through the facade to a degree that the Marleians are trying to put up, because it's the Marleians make the promises to the warriors that your families will be treated better, your brothers and your sisters and your parents and probably your grandparents to a degree, maybe some of your aunts and uncles to a degree depending on the circumstances, that they will be treated better than the rest of the Eldians. They will have medicine, they will have better food, they will have better care, they will have blah 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 blah, better privileges, more Marleian type privileges, as opposed to just being second class citizens or third class citizens. And So there's a lot of that problem going on there, and it's a lot of that they drill into the kids. And you see this with Falco, you see this with Gabby, you see this with Reiner and Bertolt. Not so much with Annie. Annie, like Peak, and to a degree Falco, could see through what was going on. Annie became a warrior because her father wanted her to. Mr. Leonard wanted her to, and because then he wanted to have the lap of luxury life that he thought he deserved. But then, of course, that doesn't. Well, we of course see through Annie's flashbacks that she did do all that training, and she eventually got to the point where she did the regular Marleian training, and then her father taught her all of these different martial arts type stuff and things like that helped her be able to become even stronger. And she did get the female Titan. I guess the other choice for the female Titan, could have been Peak, but I would assume that the female Titan might be one of the ones where they do definitely need to have a female get it. But like the rest of the Titans don't seem to have any form of a prerequisite for that, because none of the other ones seem to have that. Because Peak's Cart Titan doesn't seem to have any specific anything that specifically identifies it as female to a degree. But the female Titans, particularly when we see during the final battle for Heaven and Earth, when they're all fighting on the back of Aaron's giant spiny thing, and all the other past versions of the Titans start coming up. We see past versions of the female Titans along with all the other Titans. But we also see, the other, I would assume that not every single one that we see that has like a female attribute to it seems to be female, or is the female Titan, because we also know that there have probably been, like Frida, other female possessors of the founding Titan. But we also haven't seen it that, like, if like the Colossal is wielded by a female, does that shift its appearance a little bit? Or if the Armored's possessed by a female, does that shift its appearance a bit? We don't know, and we're probably not going to know unless, like, for some reason, the mangaka decides to go, oh yeah, I'm going to list off every single one of these and what they are and who they're with, which would take forever, to show every single one of the Titans throughout history, with as much as they changed hands and everything, and, one to the other. Also, when it comes to the Marleian Warrior Project, we know that the current kind of commander of it, or at the very least, the previous commander of it was Commander McGaff. And we see the way that he seems to act towards Gabby and Falco and Udo and, and even Colt and Sophia and everything, the way that he seems to act around them and everything. And, it's still, it's not good, but he also has to keep up this appearance of the fact that to him, they're just these weapons and everything. But, like, we see Gabby kind of joke with him at one point and such, and we see other things like that. We see the way that he's like, yeah, let him have fun and everything, and, he, advises Reiner or whatever to go and take the kids and have some fun and everything. At various points and everything. I would not be surprised at all if all of the money that Reiner spent at the the festival thing that they had in Liberio, before Aaron blew it up. If a lot of that money came from McGaff, was like, yeah, here's like an advanced pay. The kids are going to want to try a lot of food. Here's some advanced pay. Just, don't blow it all. Because we see Reiner in the background handing out money after money after money as the kids try different food, which was funny. I will admit that was funny to watch. A little bit of a wholesome moment in the middle of the destruction and horror and terror and violence. But, as I pointed this out to one of my friends at work, I'm just like, well, even extremely serious manga, even extremely gory or violent manga will still have moments of humor in it, because, there's still that balance that needs to be there. Whereas you'll also have like manga that have like a whole bunch of like funny things that happen in it. You'll still have like a serious moment that pops up in it. you know, fruits basket and like other slice of life type things have a lot of, oh, there's funny things that are going on. Oh, this funny thing happened. Oh, that funny thing happened. But then, there's something that'll come along and kind of, whoop, and now we're going to have a serious moment. And it's going to make you cry. And then we'll go back to the funny. And then we'll keep going. And, and then there's like other manga where it's just like, or other anime, or even just other shows in general where it's, even if you look at like sitcoms, they will have, they'll have a lot of funny stuff, but then they'll also have like, poignant moments that come along, moments between couples or for family or for friends or just, other things that happen. But I'm getting off topic again. But when it comes to, the Warriors, the Marley Warriors, they are very much drummed into them that they need to be loyal to Marley. And we see what happened with Reiner, where it kind of gave him the split personality issue, where he would switch back and forth between, the Reiner that was friends with Eren and Armin and Mika's son with the rest of the cadet crew and the cadet corps, and then it would switch, and he's the thing that resulted in Marco's death, or other things that happen, and it's still very hard to watch. And also when it comes to like when they we find out a little bit when it comes to the Titans, to the Warriors, that they basically go through the same type of ritual that like the Reese family and the royal family for Eldia had been going through for the past 100 years, that oh, it's time for a new successor because the person is reaching their 13-year limit, and so they choose the next successor. And in regards to on on Paradise, we see in the flashbacks where it's Yuri gained the power from Hidden Rod's father, and then several years later Frida gained the power from him, and then it was supposed to be that Historia was supposed to gain the power from Eren by changing and then devouring him. And we see the same thing happen in regards to when the Marleyans do it to the Warriors, because we kind of see with Zeke's flashback about Tom. I don't know if we saw this specifically in the anime yet or not, or if it was at the very tail end of the first half of season 4, or if it's just in the manga so far. But we still have that. They have the person chained up and everything, and there's in the giant crystalline type room, because it's the armored type room, so they can't get out. And then of course we have it that they probably did this. They did the same thing to Zeke, to Reiner, to Annie, to Pete, to Porco, to Bertolt, to Marcel, to Tom. They're going to do the same thing to Grace and whoever they were going to choose to become the next Armored Titan, and on and on and on, and going all the way back to when they first got a hold of the Titan powers and everything, and they learned how the shifting worked and how they had to change them and everything, that, it's drummed into you that this is what you're supposed to do. And I don't know if in the case of Gabby, that she understands the fact that, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to turn you into a Titan. And your cousin, the cousin that you love and adore, is going to be up there, chained. And you're going to get turned into a Titan. A pure Titan. And then you're going to freaking devour him. And when you wake up, you'll have his power and his memories. And I don't know if Gabby understands that. That's one of those moments where it's just like, okay, when do they find out about this? Does Colt know? Did Colt know at that point in time that he was going to end up having to eat Zeke? When Zeke's last year was up, did he know that he was going to have to devour Zeke, turn into a Titan and devour Zeke? Do they know that that's exactly what happens? Or are like Reiner and the rest of them like sworn to secrecy if you can't tell the new recruits, you can't tell the kids or the hopefuls that this is what's going to happen to them, that they're going to have to devour you to get the power? They know that there's a time limit, that it's 13 years. but we don't know. I don't remember if they state that they know exactly what's going to happen with that, or if it's only once they know that they've specifically been chosen. Like, you know, Colt might know, but Gabby and the rest of them didn't know. It's that horror there that was like, um, that would be a very traumatic experience if they remembered it, because, Bertold asks Emir if she remembers eating Porco, or sorry, Marcel, if she remembers when she ate Marcel, and she goes, "No, I don't remember," and he goes, "That's okay, neither do I." And that's a bit of a blessing, I would say, that they don't necessarily remember who they ate. But in the case of Gabby, we know that when it comes to, if you share blood with the person, if you're, related to the person, like with the Tiber family, that going further and further back, that, they've had the Warhammer Titan for quite a while, and they keep passing it down within the family. So the family knows how that works. The older members of the family know how that works. Same thing with the members of the Reese family, or the Fritz family before that they would keep the founding Titan within their bloodline. And it's that horrible thing of, no, you have to devour someone that you love. Gabby would have to, if Gabby was chosen and if things went the way that the Marleians had planned, then Gabby would have had to devour her own cousin. And then Colt would have had to devour Zeke. And whoever else, down the line that they had that was going to, then whoever would inherit the Jaw Titan next, or whoever would inherit the Cart Titan next, or whoever would inherit this or whatever, would get, passed down again and again, and they would still probably try to get their hands on the female Titan again and the Colossal Titan again. And, then have someone else devour them and keep that cycle going, which is one of the horrible cycles that, Emir Fritz wanted to see broken. And that, Historia kind of started that breaking when she refused to, take the, refused to use the injection on herself and chose to protect Eren as opposed to, trying to make her father happy. But it's just, you look at that and it's just like horrible things. And we see with Magath, in the manga, and this is probably going to be a bit of a hard thing to watch in the anime when they get to it, when him and Quixotes are on the ship, and they're going to blow up the ship to prevent the sorry, my chair squeaked. They're going to blow up the ship to prevent the Jaegerists from following Mikasa and Levi and the rest of them, and the rest of the warriors and everything, to prevent them from following them. They stay and they blow up the ship. And Magath makes a comment, something along the lines, I think it was something along the lines of, I put those kids through hell and everything, and I can at least do something to try to make it better. And I've seen people that have made artwork that is, reminiscent of, The Last Supper. And it has, Commander Magath in the background, and then it has all the different warriors in the foreground, eating stuff. That's disturbing. It's also a reference to, the whole thing of, it started way back with, Karl Fritz, way back when he had his, own daughters eat their mother. And that's disturbing. Extremely disturbing. And, it's that never-ending cycle that just keeps perpetuating itself again and again and again and again. And until that cycle is broken, and, Eren kind of tried to break that cycle. We'll see if it fully worked. But, the Marleians perpetuated it. So did the Eldians, the royal family of the Eldians. And even Connie, when, during the 3-4 year time skip, Connie makes the comment that, eventually they're going to have to find someone that can be the successor for Eren, for the Attack Titan and for the Founding Titan, because, eventually Eren is going to reach the end of his time limit of his 13 years, and they're going to need to find someone that can take over for him. And yeah, Aaron doesn't like that idea, and he even states that he doesn't want it to be any of his friends because he doesn't want it to be any of his, his people that he cares about. So he doesn't want it to be any of them. But I don't. But Aaron probably wouldn't be okay with a complete stranger taking his power because he would want to make sure that it would be someone that he could trust. But again, that falls into the fact of Aaron kind of was operating supposedly on the level of kind of this omnipresent being because of what he knew from having the founding titan and everything inside of him. He just he wanted to find a way to end this, which is why he worked with the Jaegers, which is why he worked with the Elena, which is why he went and infiltrated, which is why he did all this other stuff. And it's a very hard thing to watch or understand. It was just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do that to someone that I loved, because it's like you would be forcing someone that you loved and that loved you. In the case of particularly Gabby and Reiner, someone that you love and someone that loves you, forcing them to, okay, you think that this is an honor, okay, we're going to inject you with this stuff, and then you're going to end up eating your own cousin. Yeah. Or in the case of Zeke eating Tom, it was, him eating his own type of father figure, his devouring his own father figure. Which, yeah, that's very disturbed. And I think in the end that McGaff did kind of regret everything that he had done to Gabby and all of the others that he had turned into warriors. That he regretted, making them these weapons, these beasts, these horrible things, and then also taking away the rest of their lives because of the time limit of the curse of Ymir. Yeah, this one's probably going to be the longest one for these ones because I went off on a few tangents, so I apologize. But I thank you. Yep, that's what we got for this one for the Marleian Warriors. So I still have at least like the subjects of Ymir, the Eldian Restorationists, and the Titan Worshippers or so that are from before the fall. Don't know if there'll be any other ones besides that, but those are the other 3 that I still have to record. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. And please comment in regards to if there was something that you think applies to these, this video or whatever. Please comment in regards to, what you thought McGaff thought or how Gabby's reaction would have been or any of the other stuff. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Healthy boys and girls from ages 5 to 7 will be gathered as potential warriors. Only a small few will become these chosen warriors, for these warriors must be worthy of inheriting the 7 titans now under the Marley government's control.